So good day, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Shanghai, the World-Class Shipping Hub. My name is Lena Mala. I am from MARLOG in Denmark. And I would just like to quickly let you know that for this webinar, you obviously have the chance to ask the questions that you would like to ask. If you would like to do that, you can do that via our chat function. You just have to click on the chat function and then send it to not all panelists, but please choose the option all panelists and attendees. And then we will try to pick it up and get one of our speakers to answer your question. Yes, that was just a quick technical part from my side. I am wishing you all a very interesting webinar and hope you enjoyed. And I will already give the word over to Martin Rune Hoxer from Innovation Center Denmark, who is sitting in Shanghai right now, who will start with our webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lene, for your kind introduction, and welcome all of you from Denmark, from Shanghai. My name is Martin Hoxer, and welcome to our webinar, Shanghai, the World-Class Shipping Hub. I'm the Executive Director of Innovation Center Denmark, located here in Shanghai. We are part of the Danish diplomatic representation in China, and we are helping Danish businesses and researchers to find relevant partners in China within commercial innovation, business development, and research. I'm also here today at Hongkou district in Shanghai at the North Bund with our partners. So let me start by saying thank you for hosting today's webinar. I'm also here with colleagues from our trade department, and together with MARLOG, the Danish Maritime and Logistic Hub cluster, we are excited about today's program and lineup, and we hope that our events today will lead to new partnerships and commercial opportunities between Denmark and China and other partners involved. Next to MARLOG, ICDK, and the Trade Department of the Danish Consulate in Shanghai, we also have presentations from Commission of Commerce at Shanghai, Hongkou District, our partner and host of today's events. We will hear from Bank of China and Shanghai International Shipping Institute on how to set up business and how to finance activities. And we'll also hear more about MARLOG, Denmark's nationwide cluster organization. And not least, will we have company presentations from Norden and from Inch & Co. Shanghai, the latter providing an investment perspective. But let me set the scene. China and Denmark have long-standing relations going back to the 17th century, when the first Danish merchant ship arrived in China. Since then, Sino-Danish relations have expanded immensely. Despite the obvious difference in size between our two countries and the ports which operate within our borders, I do believe that we have many opportunities for cooperation, and I hope today's events could be part of expanding this cooperation. This past year has been a challenge to all of us due to the pandemic, but it has also provided opportunities and a new direction from our political leadership. For example, the EU has launched the European Green Deal, outlining Europe's path to climate neutrality by 2050, while President Xi Jinping has pledged that China will peak its CO2 emissions before 2030 and become carbon neutral before 2050. Denmark shares the same green agenda. The Danish government has set a national target of 70% reduction of greenhouse gas emission by 2030 compared to 1990 levels, and towards a net zero target by 2050. We believe there's a huge cooperation opportunity in the green transition of the maritime industry. And what is the maritime industry in Shanghai? Well, its favorable policies, its expanding maritime activities, its promising economic factors, providing Shanghai with a sound foundation and a great potential to become an international maritime center. Shanghai is located at the convergence points between the eastern coast of China and the Yangtze River. It enjoys an excellent geographical location, and Shanghai's direct economic excellent geographical location is a direct point of hinterland, includes the Yangtze River Delta area of Jiangsu, Shenzhen, Shanghai. Shanghai has been ranked among the top 3 global financial hubs, following New York and London. It also allocates the headquarters of the world's leading shipping giants, China COSCO Shipping Corporation Limited. COSCO Shipping is the merged entity of China COSCO and China Shipping, February 18, 2016. At the end of June 2021, the group operates a total fleet of 1,375 vessels with a capacity of 113.67 million DVT, deadweight tonnage, ranking #1 in the world. Shanghai is the center of shipping, technique, trade, finance, information and culture in China. 7 out of 10 world's busiest ports is already set in China, with Port of Shanghai ranking #1 position in terms of container throughput. According to this year's Shanghai Baltic International Shipping Center Development Index report, Shanghai maintains 3rd positions in global shipping hubs in 2021, just after Singapore. The index is based on the evaluation of comprehensive performance of 43 global cities, which offer port and shipping businesses from perspectives of port infrastructure, shipping services, and general environment. According to the 14th five-year plan for the construction of Shanghai International Shipping Center, Shanghai will basically build itself into a convenient, efficient, multifunctional, open, inclusive, not least green, and international shipping center with strong service capability of 2025. Over the past 2 decades, Shanghai has attracted the world's top ocean carriers to establish their operations in the port. Companies including Maersk, CMA, CGM, and NYK, and many international companies have targeted Shanghai to be a major distribution center within Shanghai as part of its expanding mainland China network. The Chinese government has decided to develop Shanghai as an international financial center, and Shanghai has the largest number of foreign banks in China. Shanghai is also the maritime legal center in China. And we are honored to have market experts to reveal today the great opportunities within the maritime sector, as well as a leading legal firm to introduce more about the legal and doing business environment in Shanghai later on today. We will also hear the supportive policies for foreign companies from local governments. Here, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Hongkou District Government once again for their support to host the event today. The same appreciation goes to MARLOG for co-hosting the webinar. Thank you. And with that, I want to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Zheng Wang, on development trends and potential maritime industry in Shanghai. Thank you.
Okay, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Zheng Jingwen from Shanghai International Shipping Institute. I'm very honored today to have this opportunity to give you a brief introduction of the development of the Shanghai International Shipping Center, and give you introduce you some opportunities and the development trend of the Shanghai shipping industry. So first, we come to the development of the Shanghai shipping industry. From the Xinhua Baltic Index, Shanghai has been first in the top 3 of the ranking of the international shipping center. We could see that Shanghai has basically has built into an international shipping center with the concentrated resources and the improved shipping services and the good business environment. And to the and to the port logistics, port always play a fundamental role in the construction of the Shanghai International Shipping Center. It attracts the ships and the goods, and a lot of companies provide services to these ships and the goods. And we now have the biggest and the most automated container terminal in Shanghai, and the container throughput has continuously ranked the first in the world. And the shipping logistics in the port is more western and green. The whole process in the port in the port has become paperless, and in the custom clearance procedure, the paper clearance rate has reached 98%. And also to the port connection and distribution system, we have the water-to-water transfer rate nearly 50%, and both the hardware and the software of the sea-to-wheel multiple model of the transportation has improved a lot. And also, Shanghai has signed an agreement with Zhejiang and Jiangsu province. This made the Shanghai more cooperative with the regional ports. And as the service, and now Shanghai has formed 7 shipping service clusters. Northbound and the Lujiazui Yangjing area featured by the shipping headquarters economy and gathers all kinds of the shipping elements. And in the Yangshan, Lingang, and Waigaoqiao area, mainly focus on the port logistics and the bonded logistics. And the Wusongkou area is initially formed a cruise industry chain, and it is the China's first international cruise industry park. And also in the Hongkou and Pudong airport area, that are an important area for the airport economy. Based on these shipping service clusters, we gathered a lot of the shipping resources and also the functional institutions. Nowadays in Shanghai, we have top 10 liner companies, top 5 cruise enterprises, top 4 shipping management companies, and so on. And also in the shipping service function in these years has been increased significantly. Firstly, in the shipping insurance market, the total amount of the shipping insurance in Shanghai has accounted for 25% in China, and now has been in the top 3 in the world. In the whole world, just behind the Singapore and London. And secondly, in the shipping information service industry, we have the container freight index as the CCFI and the SCFI. They have great influence in the industry, and has become the wind one for the international market. And in the terms of the legal service, Shanghai Maritime Court and the Shanghai Maritime Arbitration Service Institution jointly built a Shanghai base for international maritime dispute. They built diverse dispute resolution mechanism. And to the cruise industry, Hongkou is the China's first cruise home port and the world first cruise home port. And we also have many rich and colorful shipping cultural services, such as the China International Maritime Exhibition, China Navigation Day, and some international shipping development forum. And in terms of the business environment, we can also see significant optimization. And in the term of the port clearance environment, and we have the single window of the international trade, which has integrated time segment with more than 80 models. And a lot of things can be done on the internet. So the procedure is much simplified. And secondly, in the opening of the shipping service, except for the interline transportation, other aspects of the shipping service has all been opened to the world. And third, to the government services. In these years, the government have improved a lot of their services and simplified their procedure, the application materials, and so on. And fourth, to the policies of the shipping talent. In these years, the policies is more focused on the high-end, urgent needed, and the special talent. And we also provide some facilities as the accommodation, enrollment, social society, and so on. So make these policies more attractive to the international shipping talent. And the second part is about the opportunities of the Shanghai shipping industry. In the next 5 years, Shanghai may mainly focus on these 6 aspects. First of all, is also it has mentioned before, port is the foundation of the coast construction of the international shipping center. And we will continuously build the world first-class port facilities, port services, and port technologies. Secondly, with the national strategy of the regional integration in the Yangtze River Delta, Shanghai has the opportunity to allocate more shipping resources and promote the efficient flow of the shipping elements. So this will definitely further promote the level of the Shanghai International Shipping Center. And the third, in the deepening reform, in Shanghai, we have the free trade zone, Lingang special area and the Yangshan special bounded area. These are all the great platform for the implement of the more scientific international shipping management systems and policies. And we believe this will achieve deeper and higher level of the whole industry opening up. And first, in the innovation of the shipping science and technology, we regard this as an important driving force, and the whole society has put a lot of intention to the integration of the new technology and the shipping industry, so that we could accelerate the innovation of the business model, the service, and the management. And fifth, in the cultural service, the Shanghai supports all kinds of the international exhibitions, the forums, and so on. So, we are going to build a top international communication platform so that we could promote the international communication, cooperation, and the information exchange. And the last but not the least is the principle of the safety and the sustainability. The government will take all the measures to ensure this industry is safe, stable, and coordinated. And some of the national strategies has carried out in Shanghai, and just as mentioned before, I want to draw your attention of this picture on the right hand. There's a big circle named economic circle in the Yangtze River Delta. And in this circle have a lot of the important cities like Shanghai, Ningbo, Hangzhou, Suzhou, Nanjing, and so on. And in the future, in this area, the people, resources, goods, and things may transport and flow more convenient. And this is a great opportunity for Shanghai's international shipping center. And secondly, I want to introduce you some important and recent policies. One is the International Shipping Registry. Under this policy, the whole procedure of the International Ship Registry has been simplified, and you can just give one application and get all the certificates. And also the partial of the approval authority has been transferred to the lower level. So you don't need to get other government apartment. And also, if the ships was built in China and registered in China Yangshan Port for the international transportation, it will be regarded as export and gives the export tax rebate. This policy has been reached in the June 2020, and for now, there are 48 ships have completed the ship registration of the China Yangshan Port, and among them, 8 ships have been completed export tax rebate. And the second policy is about the international transit consolidation. Under this policy, we built an international transit consolidation service center, and the whole customer regulatory process has been simplified. This service center has been built this year in June, and until now we have the 6 trial operations, and in the future we believe that it will attract more goods to transit in Shanghai. And the third policy is about the opening of the ship's statutory inspection. In 2019, this policy we have opened to the foreign classifications based on the principle of reciprocity. And since then, we have the agreement signed with France, so BV can carry out the statutory inspection in China. And in the future, we are promoting the opening of the China's ships statutory inspection, and more classifications can carry out the such inspection in China. To the Hongkou district, we have more than 4,700 complaints gathered here. And from this map, we could see that most of them were gathered in the northbound. And the further information, Ms. Xu will give the more detailed information about the whole environment, Hongkou's environment and support policies. Now Hongkou mainly featured by these four industries. One is shipping finance. This one including the shipping insurance, and secondly is the maritime law and arbitration, focusing on the legal environment, and also the shipping information, such as the Shanghai Shipping Exchange and consulting services, and also Hongkou is featured by the construction of the International Cruise Visiting Port. And Hongkou also take great measures in the technology and science aspects, such as the 5G infrastructure and the innovation enterprises. That's all my preparation. And if you have any further questions about the Shanghai International Shipping Center, you can send me email for the detailed information. Thank you.
So thank you very much to Shanghai International Shipping Institute. I think next to being relevant to the Danish commercial companies is also relevant to some of the knowledge partners with MARLOG, being research institutions and universities that are looking into marine technology and the maritime sector. Next, we're going to hear from Ms. Maggie Xu. She's the representative for the Commission of Commerce here at the Shanghai Hongkou district, and she will give a more detailed introduction to the northbound. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Maggie from Shanghai Hongkou District Commission of Commerce. And today, I'm going to make a brief introduction to the city of Shanghai with some details focusing on Hongkou District, as well as the future development of the northbound. Shanghai is situated in the eastern part of China on the west bank of the Pacific Ocean, East Asia continent, and the leading edge of the Yangtze River Delta. Now, Shanghai has built itself into the economical, financial, trading, and shipping center of China, and its GDP in 2020 has reached 3.87 trillion RMB, which ranked #1 in Shanghai, and is about 1/5 of the GDP of France. Economically, Shanghai is one of the Alpha Plus cities in the world, Financially, Shanghai is number 3 in Global Financial Centers Index and number 1 in the China Financial Centers Index. In terms of trade, Shanghai is the world's largest port city for international trade and ranked number 1 worldwide for container throughput. Last year, faced with the COVID-19 pandemic, Shanghai has still maintained its strong momentum in attracting foreign capitals, with its paid-in capital reaching $20.23 US, and Shanghai continued to be the city hosting the largest number of regional headquarters of multinational companies and foreign invested R&D centers in the Chinese mainland. By the end of 2020, Shanghai has attracted about 60,000 foreign invested companies, including 771 headquarters of multinational corporations and 481 foreign-founded R&D centers. In the future, Shanghai will take bigger strides in implementing all-round, in-depth, and high-level opening up. Situated in one of the downtown area of Shanghai is Hongkou district, which enjoys a convenient traffic network. In the southern part of Hongkou, along the Yangtze River and Suzhou Creek, lies the northbound. And the northbound area is striving to build itself into a top-notch central business zone. Thanks to its remarkable geographic advantages, Hongkou has witnessed its shipping industry developing continuously with a great clustering effect. As of now, Hongkou is already home to more than 4,700 shipping companies, including many key players in the industry, such as Mediterranean Shipping Company, Costco Shipping, Hapag-Lloyd, Pacific International Lines, Costa Cruises, Royal Caribbean Cruises, etc. It also boasts 41 shipping functional institutions, including Shanghai Shipping Exchange, the China's Shipowners Association, and so on. And the other pillar industry of Hongkou is finance. Nearly 1,800 financial companies from both home and abroad, including American Express, Greenlight Capital, have settled in Hongkou, which manages over 6 trillion RMB of assets, including 1/8 of the China's mutual funds. The northbound will take full advantages of the clustering of financial institutions to serve the real economy and will accelerate industrial transformation and the upgrading in Hongkou. Apart from the 2 pillar industries, 4 major industries, including modern commerce and trade, cultural creativity, information services, and professional services, flourish in Hongkou, laying a foundation for the development of the northbound. In Hongkou, a series of measures have been taken to attract more foreign investment and to further optimize the business environment. For example, support and incentives up to RMB 30 million, including startup financial support, rental subsidies, performance reward, and project support are available to enterprises settled in Hongkou. At the same time, a group of state-of-the-art universities, research institutions, platforms, and incubators have gathered around the district, including Fudan University, Tongji University, Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, Shanghai International Studies University, and Shanghai Research Institute of Materials. The talent pool of Hongkou is ideal for foreign companies looking to explore the Chinese market. In terms of investment promotion, a lot of measures have been taken to facilitate trade in Hongkou. For example, specialized follow-up services are offered to overseas enterprises. And now it takes about only 1 to 2 weeks to set up a foreign invested company in Hongkou. What's more, a 3-tiered system of complaint handling, including the national, municipal, and district center for complaints, has been established to handle complaints for foreign invested enterprises and a lawyers' commission have been established to handle foreign-related issues. In the year of 2020, the new round of planning of the northbound has been released. The project is expected to be the largest one in Shanghai after the development of Lujiazui in the 1990s. The development density will be on par with London Financial Hub. The skyscrapers along the waterfront of the future northbound will echo the Lujiazui skyscrapers across the Yangtze River and is expected to reshape Shanghai's skyline. About 8.5 million square meters of construction area has been planned, including dozens of top-level office buildings, which will house about 100 headquarters of multinational corporations, international organizations, and functional institutes. The riverside space will remain focused on the shipping and the finance industry. Supplementary businesses and the pilot zone for green transport has also been planned. Up until now, many brand new high-quality commercial buildings invested by foreign investors have already sprung up in the northbound area. And this is Cinemas Plateau developed by Cinemas Group, featuring the first W hotel in Shanghai. This is Raffles City de Bond, the newly opened commercial center developed by Capital Land. This is Shanghai Landmark Center by Hong Kong Construction Group. Then comes the Hall of the Sun and Ruihong CA by Ruian Land, which will open this week. As we can see, the northbound has emerged as one of the hotspots for Shanghai's future development. So why not join us in the future development of the northbound and get a piece of the pie? That's all for my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maggie Xu, representative of Shanghai Hongkou District. As promised in my introductory speech, we are going to dig a little deeper. Now we've heard from our local hosts, but we're also going to look at the financial side of things. And I'm very glad to be able to present Ms. Xi Haoyu, Vice President of the Hongkou sub-branch of Bank of China.
Dear Danish guests, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Deputy General Manager of Bank of China, Shanghai Hongkou sub-branch. It is a great honor to participate in today's activity. On behalf of Bank of China, I would like to extend my sincere greetings to you all. The theme of our entire event today is about Danish companies investing in Hongkou. I think when we talk about a cross-border investment, we will definitely pay close attention to three financial issues. They are the country's foreign exchange administration system, the banking system regulations, and which local bank is more suitable for foreign companies. Today, I will interface with you about these three issues. Before I talk about the foreign exchange administration system, let me introduce the management structure of China's banks to you. According to this picture, you can understand that commercial banks mainly carry out their work in accordance with the management requirements of two government agencies, namely the People's Bank of China, PBOC, mainly manage monetary policy, RMB business, and the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, SAFE, mainly responsible for the formulation of foreign exchange policies. They transmit policies to commercial banks, and the commercial banks formulate internal regulations through the policy framework to guide enterprises to carry out financial services. I will often refer to PBOC and SAFE in the presentation below. As we all know, China is a country with foreign exchange control, so you must be very concerned about these issues. Can large amounts of funds be collected and paid across borders promptly? Is the investment money safe? How long does it take for cross-border remittance? Is there any preferential policies for FDI inflows and outflows? Just take it easy. Although China is foreign exchange controlled, after years of development, China's foreign exchange policy has experienced a substantial relaxation, and the current bank operating requirements are very smooth, consistent, and clear. That's why in World Bank 2020 Business Environment Report, China's ranking has risen 15 places to number 31, entering the world's top 40 for the first time. And I will answer the questions listed above in the next 3 parts. Now, let me introduce you China's foreign exchange administration system. In China, we divide foreign exchange into 3 categories: current item, capital item, and others. Among them, 4 situations are most frequently occurred in our foreign invested enterprises, which are trade in goods, trade in service, income and current transfer, and foreign direct investment and overseas direct investment. We call it FDI and ODI. Under current item, there are mainly trading goods, trading service, and payment for profits, dividend sharing. Banks have clear review requirements as listed here. Banks care for the integrity of the documents, not the amount. For example, if a company wants to remit $1 billion as dividend to Denmark, as long as all the documents are prepared, bank will remit it abroad instantly, and the company in Denmark will receive the money in 24 hours. Documents are not complex. Your bank will tell you in advance. Capital item mainly involves cross-border investment, capital increases and capital divestment, etc. Taking a newly established foreign-funded enterprise as an example, it takes 5 steps. Firstly, get approval by the government. Secondly, go to bank with relevant documents. Bank clerks will make registration of basic information, which takes only 1 hour. The next step is to reserve a time to open a capital account. It takes less than 2 hours. After the account is open, we will get an account number just to transfer money from Denmark to this account. As we have time lag, you are in Europe and we are here in China, it takes almost 1 day to get money from Denmark to China. At last, we can use capital funds. SAFE provide 2 patterns for foreign exchange. The first is the company can remain the US dollar or other foreign currency in the account and exchange into RMB whenever they need. The second, company can exchange all the foreign currency into RMB if they want. According to the new preferential policy, foreign-funded company can pay money from the capital account without bank's check in advance. So whether under current item or under capital item, as long as the corresponding materials are provided in accordance with the relevant procedures, the foreign exchange flow under the management of SAFE is smooth and convenient. After talking about the foreign exchange administration system, let me introduce you China's bank account system briefly, which is under the supervision of PBOC. All the companies in China must open a basic account, which is used to pay taxes, pay employee salaries, and handle daily business transactions. If there are additional needs, company can also apply for a RMB general account for settlement. But for foreign-funded enterprises, they need to apply for a capital account to receive foreign capital from overseas, as I just said before. Money in this account cannot be used in stock markets or real estate investment. That's forbidden. So do some of the above policies sound complicated? It doesn't matter. Bank of China can provide a full range of services for companies investing in Shanghai, in Hongkou. Okay, let me introduce the services and products of Bank of China from two aspects. That's who is Bank of China and why choose Bank of China. Bank of China is the oldest and the most prestigious Chinese bank, which has more than 100 years history. And it's the best Chinese banking brand name in the world. These are the BOC's awards in recent years. And it's a local bank of the highest degree of internationalization. In the picture, we can see we have many branches in Europe, but not in Denmark. We have branches in Germany, such as Hamburg, and also in Stockholm. And Bank of China is the leader for international settlement and foreign exchange. In 2019, BOC Group's international trade volume reaches 5,200 billion US dollars, ranked first among domestic banks, with a market share of over 30%. So I think now you may know who is Bank of China. Then why choose Bank of China? Every bank can provide normal account services, but what else can Bank of China do? I have listed 8 points. First, specialized foreign exchange guidance. As a specialized bank in foreign exchange and foreign trade for a long time, Bank of China has accumulated rich experience in the process of serving foreign-funded enterprises. It can help enterprises to complete foreign exchange-related operations quickly while avoiding compliance risks. I think that's very important to help companies to avoid compliance risks, especially for shipping companies. The second is smart online payment. Based on the evaluation and trust of SAFE, Bank of China is the only bank that can realize US dollar online settlement. Our online system, Remittance Express, provides great convenience for shipping companies that settle in US dollars. The third is professional foreign exchange hedging business. We provide foreign exchange hedging services of various duration to help companies lock in exchange rate price and reduce exchange rate risk exposure. The fourth is the cash pool business. We have provided a global cash pool services for many globalized companies to facilitate the group's unified allocation of funds. For the companies with multiple branches in China, there are also suitable domestic cash pool products available. As we know, many shipping companies have their companies all over the world, so cash pool is very important for shipping companies. Number 5 is simplified operations for multinational companies. For qualified multinational companies, we provide simplified operations that is different from normal requirements of SAFE. Companies can complete the payment of foreign exchange without providing contract and invoices, which improves the convenience of operations. It's a new preferential policy for foreign invested company. 6, good communication mechanism with PBOC and SAFE. We have a very smooth communication with PBOC and SAFE. For complex foreign exchange business and innovative foreign exchange operation requirements, we can directly communicate with them to help foreign-funded enterprises to solve practical problems. Number 7 is exclusive customer service management. For Danish companies that come to Hongkou to invest, we provide experienced customer service managers to accompany you throughout the banking business. If you have any problems, they can help you to solve them anytime, anywhere. Last but not least, remote service for opening account. If your company decided to invest in Hongkou, but due to COVID-19 virus, the legal representative cannot come to China, you may have their identity documents verified at overseas branches of BOC, such as Hamburg, Düsseldorf, Stockholm, etc. That's all for the introduction of Bank of China. So if you have further questions, please communicate with us, or you can also get in touch with our working team via email. And this is my email address, and this is the email address of my colleague. Thanks for listening.
So thank you very much, Ms. Xi He, Vice President from the Hongkou Sub-Branch Bank of China. So next to financing the activities and the conducive environment that you'll find here in Hongkou district, there's also legal aspects. And we at the Consulate of Denmark here in Shanghai and at the Innovation Center, we always side with the best legal advisors. So I'm very pleased to give the floor to Ms. Shirley Li, partner at Inch & Co. here in Shanghai. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, all dear guests. It's a great honor to be here to give this very brief introduction of, from the legal perspective, the China's policy on foreign investment in the maritime industry. I am a partner of the Inch & Co. Shanghai office. We are a law firm, international law firm, headquartered in London, primarily focusing on shipping industry, servicing shipping clients. We opened our office in Shanghai in 2000. So it's probably fair to say that we have witnessed and grown up together with our clients and seen the rapid development of shipping industry and how it has opened up to foreign investment in the past 20 or so years. Firstly, I'd like to give a bit of background of how the business sectors in China were divided historically. Now, from the foreign investment perspective, business sectors in China were historically divided into three categories, depending upon to what extent it is open to foreign investment. They're encouraged, restricted, and prohibited. Shipping, I think most of the shipping industries or shipping business used to be in the restricted category. However, there has been big change over the last 10 years or so. Many shipping industries has been removed from the restricted area and becoming more open to the foreign investment. The launch of the negative list in 2018 was a big milestone because from that year, China has moved on to this so-called negative list approach, in which it means that as long as a business industry is not on the negative list, then it is no longer restricted and it's fully open to foreign investment. And in that year, International Shipping Transportation and International Shipping Agency were the last two categories removed from the restricted list. This signifies that the maritime industry in China is now fully open to foreign investment. The only remaining restriction now is domestic shipping transportation, which has to be conducted by companies in which Chinese industries hold more than 50% of the shares. In 2020, last year, there was also a big step by the Chinese government in encouraging foreign investment. Last year, the government launched a category called Catalog of Industries Encouraging Foreign Investment. And I put on the screen a list of the encouraged business sectors. And obviously, I wouldn't read them item by item, but as you can see, these business sectors primarily all focusing on the design and research and development of technology. I think this also this is in line with the global trend of the shipping industry, where more focus is now placed on the design and the research aspects. Now, if the business falls within the encouraged sectors, it means that they may be able to enjoy some tax benefits and maybe some further preferential treatment depending on the local policies in which the business is to be set up. Next, I'd like to give you a brief introduction of the options of setting up business in China. Speaking of the business structures one would typically adopt for setting up a business in China, we will be talking about three main types. One is representative office, the second is joint venture, and third is wholly foreign-owned enterprise, which is commonly referred to as WOFE. First, I'd like to give a bit of introduction of representative office. Now, this is by its name, as you can see, it's a non-profit owning liaison office established by a foreign company in China to support its activities such as market research, public relations, promotion of its business, customer care. But as you can see, a rep office is not an independent legal entity, so it is not able to conduct sales or substantive business option. However, the advantage of setting up a rep office in China is that it is very quick and easy to be set up. It can be maintained at a low cost. There was no requirement on capital investment, and operations can be very simple. So this is typically suited for a company which is only evaluating its prospects and possibilities of entering the Chinese market, and need to conduct some business market activities. Now, by way of background, in the past, for many foreign investments, rep office is probably and inevitably always the first step when they set their foot on the Chinese market. It used to be a precondition for a foreign investor to set up a proper company in China. I still remember in 2004, 2005, we helped a German shipping company to set up its own wholly foreign-owned shipping company in China. And at the time, because it was still restricted, the policy was such that the company would have to first set up a rep office in China for 2 years before it can open its proper fully owned company. Obviously, given the liberalization of the policies, as I just mentioned, the rep office is no longer a legal requirement, but more of a business option for companies who are still assessing their prospects and opportunities in China. Secondly, the second option for foreign investor is a joint venture. By its name, a joint venture is a limited liability company set up by the foreign investor and its Chinese partners. So it is an independent legal entity and a fully operating company that can conduct business in China subject to its business scope. it is typically suited for two scenarios. One is industries where foreign investment is still restricted. Now, this is probably a moot point for shipping industries because, as I said, pretty much all of the shipping business are now fully open to foreign investment. But just to give an example, if we're still in the restricted area and the policy says that the company will have to be the company's shares will have to be controlled by a Chinese shareholder, then the suitable business structure would be a joint venture in which the Chinese partner, the Chinese shareholder, will hold more than 51% of the shares. The other scenario is, even if there was no legal requirement, even if it is industry where the foreign investor can set up its wholly owned subsidiary, it may well be that for business reasons or for strategic reasons, the foreign investor would still want to partner up with a Chinese company. It may be because they're relying upon the Chinese partner for marketing the product or for strategic purposes in developing local markets. For these reasons, it may well be that a joint venture is a suitable business structure. Now, if one adopts a joint venture structure, we as lawyers would suggest that careful considerations need to be given to the joint venture agreement, which typically sets out how the joint venture company is going to be operated, corporate governance, how the board of directors will have to be appointed, the parties' respective contribution to the joint venture. For example, maybe one party would be responsible for the financing of the joint venture, whilst the other party would be responsible for procuring business for the joint venture. At last, but also very important, the joint venture agreement would need to set out a relatively detailed and comprehensive mechanism for dispute resolution and exiting mechanism in case things don't really work out. Just to give you an example, one of the interesting projects that we participated in recent years was that in 2018, we helped our client Carnival to set up a cruise joint venture with CSC, which is the largest shipbuilding group in China. The purpose of the JV was to promote and operate their own fleet to develop the cruise business in China and serve Chinese cruise guests. Now, obviously, cruising business had its difficult times because of COVID-19, but I think market view still remains that Chinese market is a very big market and has good potential in the future for cruise business. Last business structure that is typically adopted for foreign investment in China is WOFE, as you may all well heard of this. A WOFE is also a limited liability company, and same as joint venture, it is fully operating. It is a fully operating company that can conduct business and is an independent legal entity. This is typically suited for a foreign investor that has already had some familiarization of the local market here and how companies operate in China. Now, obviously, because you can't have all the staff coming from abroad, you will need to have reliable and competent local talent to help operate the WOFE. Last but not least, I'd like to give you a brief overview of the legal environment in China for foreign investment. Again, last year, there was a big move on the legislation side where China has passed the new foreign investment law, and it took effect from the January 1st last year. the background of this is that historically, foreign invested companies, be it a joint venture or WOFE, they were regulated by different legislations in China insofar as corporate matters are concerned. But this new law has now streamlined the corporate matters and the regulations for domestic and foreign invested companies. And as I mentioned earlier, now because of the negative list approach and coupled with the new law, this essentially means that for investments falling outside the negative list, domestic and foreign companies will be treated same, and no additional approval is required for foreign investment. Lastly, I would also like to mention that I think for foreign investment and from our experience as lawyers, many foreign investors are also very interested in knowing the legal environment and dispute resolution services in the particular area where they're looking at investing. Now, I would say the international dispute resolution services in China and particularly in Shanghai is becoming more and more sophisticated. For example, international arbitration is becoming commonly accepted for business here. CTAC and SHIAC, Shanghai International Arbitration Center, these are the two main domestic arbitration institutions. They now keep on their panel a large number of foreign arbitrators if business wish to appoint them. In the meantime, some of the well-known international arbitration institutions like ICC, Hong Kong IAC, Singapore IAC, they are all very active in China and in Shanghai in particular. And speaking of the shipping industry, we would all be very familiar with LMAA, which is the London Maritime Arbitrators Association, and this is commonly accepted as a dispute resolution mechanism for shipping disputes. And again, they are becoming very popular and active in China these days as well. So I think this concludes my presentation today, and I hope this has helpfully given an overview of the legal environment of doing business in China, and I'd be very happy to take any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shirley Li, the partner at Inc. & Co. here in Shanghai, for giving us a thorough introduction to China's maritime policies and foreign investment policies. Now I want to shift our attention to the Danish sides, because it's my great pleasure to present Jan Bojesen. He's the Senior Manager of Technology and Innovation on Green Transition at the Maritime Logistics Innovation Denmark, MARLOG. Take it away, Jan.
Thank you very much for that. I will just briefly share my slides here. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can see everything. Thank you, Jan.
Okay, very good. So hello everyone and good afternoon in China. My name is Jan Bojesen. As said, I'm in charge for the green transition at the national cluster here in Denmark. So shortly, I will be presenting what the Danish shipping cluster is all about, and also presenting MARLOG, the organization that I represent. And then finally, I will give some specific examples of potential areas that we could collaborate within. So overall, when you look at the Danish maritime cluster, it's important to say that Denmark is of course surrounded by water, and we have a very long tradition for shipping. We have ships and shipping for more than 1,000 years. So it's a very, very long business we have been conducting here. And you must understand that in comparison to China, of course, Denmark is a very, very small country. But even though we are such a small country, we control 10% of the global trade. So this is really amazing, and the reason for that is, of course, that we have a very integrated cluster with the whole ecosystem of the big ship owners, but also the companies that produce the equipment, the bankers, the financiers, and the regulators, as well as the researchers and the universities. And all of that we are trying to keep connected and keep together. And you could say that natural process that there is in a cluster, we as a cluster organization are trying to imitate that and create even more growth and more business development. Overall, you can see here that we are represented in all over Denmark. So we have opened up offices in various places, of course, in the capital, but also out in the areas where we have ports, we have ship owners, we have producers of equipment, and so on. And we have a very close relationship with the universities, with the maritime educations, with the knowledge institutions, as well as the whole ecosystem. Overall, our target companies are the ship and equipment manufacturers. Of course, a lot of the ships are actually built in China, but we still design them, and a lot of the equipment that goes into these ships is developed and in some cases even produced in Denmark. So we have a lot of talented engineers and researchers that help us doing that. Another target group for MARLOG as an association is the port and infrastructure providers, which of course are very central. And then finally, we have the logistics, the services, the ship owners, so the more trading part of the business. And it's maybe important to understand that the trading and the hardware side is very integrated, because a lot of the innovations and the development we have seen has been related on the new services. In recent years, of course, a lot of the digital services that are integrated into the operations and the business development, but also the green transition. Overall, the way we work, we have this pyramid. So we both have knowledge sharing about the latest topics that can be like an event like this on the business potential internationally, but it can also be about new developments that are important for the companies to understand and integrate. We also do a lot of matchmaking between companies and knowledge institutions. And finally, we do a lot of innovation projects where we go down with some specific companies and help them develop new services, new products. And overall, our areas of interest are, as I said, digitalization, green transition, so a lot of on the fuel side, and I will come up with 2 potential areas for collaboration with this. We also work heavily on attracting talents, both from abroad to Denmark, but also young people into the careers that are maritime. Finally, we help a lot of companies, startups. So we find these people that want to establish a company. We help them getting financing, establishing a board of directors, having the network to the customers and the big companies, and so on. So we have a very broad service portfolio at MARLOG. And we don't do this alone. We do this in a very close collaboration with some of the big companies, but also the small and innovative companies. And they help us define the strategy within these different areas that we work on. You probably know some of these companies. Then in terms of specific areas that we are very into right now, one of them is, as I said, digitalization. We are matching some of the Danish ship owners, well-known companies, together with IT companies and IoT companies, and are, as of now, in the process of testing a digital platform for a ship, where you can actually connect many different types of equipment that goes across all the standards and the different interfaces. And the reason for this is that as of the past, each vendor had their own system, and we really want to gather all of that data into one platform and make it available for the ship owner. So you have full control to the data, and thereby you can start doing a lot of new, actually there is so many different potential applications for that. This is an innovation that we brought from something called smart cities and tested it into a ship. And there is a big potential for testing and developing all kinds of new IT developments. And here I think this could be an area for collaboration with you people from China and the companies that you have there, because you have a lot of talented equipment manufacturers that are of course also interested in entering this new digital area that we are seeing. The next potential area for collaboration is on the new energy carriers. We are very involved ourselves in what in Denmark is called Power to X. And here we have a collaboration with the energy sector in order to produce the new fuels for the future. And as Martin said, we have a 70% reduction in CO2 emissions target from the Danish government. And to be honest, of course, the transport sector has been one of the sectors that has had very many problems compared to others in order to decarbonize. And this is due to technical reasons, due to financial reasons, but also to the nature of the business, which is very international. So, but now the whole government of Denmark, together with EU and many other good people, we are targeting these new production of the new fuels. And here we see that, especially as we go into the heavy assets like ships, planes, but also the heavy road transportation, direct electrification is really not an option. So we need to start manufacturing fuels for the heavy road. It will probably be green hydrogen, and for the ships, we're talking about ammonia and methanol, green methanol and green ammonia, to power these ships for the future. And this is an area which we see massive development within right now. And of course, that's also something that I could imagine that the Chinese companies are interested in working together with us about. Where we are right now is that we are collaborating with all the Danish universities, with the Danish Center for Energy Storage, the Energy Cluster Denmark, as well as us and all the companies we represent, in order to create a new collaboration for the innovation fund, the National Danish Innovation Fund, where we want to take cutting edge research and innovation to accelerate this transition towards the new green fuels. And also see that some of all this good research is also converted into actual business development and commercialization. So what we're working there on is that we bring in the shipping and the transport companies, and the others bring other type of companies and skills. And we are applying for a grant of almost 200 million Danish kroner for a 5-year period. And the deadline for that is then October 19th. And what we are looking for there is to, of course, see, are there any good research, innovations and technologies that are used, for instance, in China, that we can also implement here in Denmark, because we need as many good ideas that as there are to solve this massive challenge that we are facing. So all in all, to wrap it up, potential for collaboration. On the top level, we are very interested in business development and knowledge sharing. We have a huge network of companies here in Denmark. On the more specific side, we are interested in collaboration within new fuels for heavy road transport and shipping, what normally is called Power to X, but also biofuels as well. And then digitalization and ship connectivity and all the new digital services that will arrive from that. Also including business models, actually, because it's not only about technology, it's also about how that changes the whole landscape. So this will be the 3 areas that I see potential collaboration between the Danish companies and research community and the Chinese. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your presentation and for giving some insights into your activities and what you cover at MARLOG. I think it's very clear that from your presentation, there's an interest in Power to X, digitalization, and further connectivity. So in the collaboration that we have, Innovation Center, Trade Center, but also with MARLOG, there's a rich opportunity to reach out and to network going further from this webinar today. I will come back to that as we end the webinar. Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you.
Next on the list here is actually a company presentation also coming out of Denmark. I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Christian Winter Christensen. He's the head of dry cargo department at Norden AS, and he will give a presentation on the business case DS Norden. Thank you, Christian, and you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you to the many skilled speakers and very interesting presentations. So, Lene, yes, you have it there. Super. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I'm Christian Christensen, and I'm responsible for, as you said, the dry cargo activities of Norden, where we operate today 350 dry cargo ships, which makes us the third largest dry cargo carrier in the world, actually. Yet we only carry 2.5% of the world's traded or with the world's carried volumes, dry cargo volumes. And my interest and my business in China dates back to 22 years, where I was based in Hong Kong, and I was responsible for the Maersk broker in Beijing as well. So I have been in China since many years and always had a great respect for China. In Norden terms, the history is much longer, because actually our first ship called in Shanghai, 1875. Can you believe it? 1875. So that kind of a humbling history. Anyway, just a few words on Norden. What are we doing? We are kind of the heart of global trade, where we are providing assistance to our many cargo clients, moving their goods from A to B. Norden today, we have 3 trading-oriented business units, being asset management, where we have our own ships and our financed ships. Then we have tanker operator, where we're carrying refined products all over the world as well. And then we have the dry operator, which is what I'm kind of responsible, where we are operating 350 ships. They are trading around the world. Lene, you have can you just take the slides again, please? Thank you. And then next slide. We are very much involved in different cargoes. I think for many of you, the dry cargo is kind of the invisible transportation that is going on around the world. You don't really see the products, but whatever we do here, the energy for your computer, that's in many cases coal, which has been transported, or the glass you have, that's some silicon sand, which has also been transported at one point. So it's kind of the invisible supply chain that none of us see. There's a lot of focus on containers these days, because that is something we can relate to with shoes and computers. But the dry cargo is a big invisible supply chain. Norden, we are 371 employees, probably more today, but when I made this presentation, it was 371. We have many nationalities. We are a stock listed company in Denmark since 1871. So we have our 150 years anniversary today. We also have some very rigid climate targets, being wanting to be carbon neutral by 2050. Our carbon and our carbon policy and strategy will be very much, we are beefing that up. And what we want to do is simply helping our clients, our many cargo clients, to decarbonize their supply chain. And that's a big, big job. Yes. Next page, please. If you can see the map here, that's where we have offices today. in 11 places around the world on 6 continents, kind of covering the world. The dry cargo market is very fragmented. You have a lot of cargo customers all around the world, and we very much believe in local presence in the various markets, which also led us to open the Shanghai office back in 2003. So if you take the next slide, you will see that this is the Northern history described, and it also includes the history we have in China. So Lene, if you can, yeah, thank you very much. As you see on the left, 1871, where the company was established 150 years ago. And then already in 1875, we had the vessel called Northern calling Yangtze River for the first time. And she was actually trading there for many times. And it is again, very humbling to understand such a rich history with China. In 2003, we opened the first office in China, in Shanghai, our only office in Shanghai. Today we have 14 people, headed by Judy Shen. And I will explain a little bit later in the next slides why we opened in Shanghai. What was the reason for us opening? In 2004, we ordered our first ship in China, first ships in China, product tankers at that time. And so we also have big investments in China. Yeah. On the next slide, it's a little bit to explain what are we doing in dry cargo, or what does it mean? Well, it means that we are focusing a lot on our cargo clients' supply chains and their logistics. We are, let's say, the traditional carrier is moving the goods from A to B. It could be from Shanghai to Europe, for instance. I think the future we will need to come up with different products where we go a little bit more upstream or downstream with our clients, and making sure that all supply chains are better interlinked, actually. We focus on long-term customer relations. That's another reason why we have the office in China as well. And then very much on global reach and local presence. I'm a big believer that business is done better by, let's say, by Chinese in China. And then I have the same philosophy on all our other offices. It's a language, it's a cultural, and the business will just become better. What we do, we are matching cargoes around the world with ships around the world in a worldwide trading, and we're using very advanced risk management in order to not to take too much risk, and in order to not be caught by the very volatile markets we see in dry cargo also. We use a lot of market analytics to try to predict the market. The market is very volatile. It swings much more volatile, actually, historically, than the container market, which many of you know has gone crazy the last year. And we have a trading-oriented mindset to our positions. When we started as we have grown in Shanghai, we have some, of course, have built a very good customer base of some of the big Chinese companies, including in this case Kong Cement, which traditionally was an exporter of cement to the rest of the world. But as China grew and as the market dynamics changed, then suddenly Kong Cement became an importer. And we have a very good, let's say, customer case, which we also put on our social media last year, I think 2 years ago, where we actually helped Kong Cement, which is a huge company, as you may know, in this transition from going from exporting to importing. And now they are one of the biggest importers of clinker to China to fuel the Chinese economy and building industry. And that's very much how we are. We are not a ship owner. Northern is not. Our biggest business is actually being service provider and being able to deliver solutions to our clients. Part of us is also ship owners, but if you're a service provider, you act differently, and you try to generally understand your clients' needs And that's not exactly the case of all ship owners. So this is what we are in the world to do. We have to understand our customers' demands, and we have to change too. And that leads to the last slide. Why did we expand to China 18 years ago? Which is, I think, the most interesting maybe subject of you who are listening. And it was at that time, it was obviously because of the growth in the Chinese economy, and that China was really beefing up on let's say the dry cargo scene, building China infrastructure, etc. And we understood quite quickly that we needed to be in China to generally understand the needs of our clients. We started out with the Danish head of the office, and that was okay too. But really, I think our success in China is much more sustainable and long-term, and by having local management. So today, the office, we have 14 people in the office, and it's headed by Judy Chen, who I hope is also listening here today. And with this team, then you have a real organization that can help the Chinese customers as they take charge of their own freight. In the past, talking 30 and 40 years ago, the Chinese was not in charge of their own freight. They put it to the traders or put it to the overseas company to be in charge of the freight. But today, the Chinese customers is in most cases in charge of their own freight, and this is where we come in. Very much believe in the local presence, as we said. What I experienced, and this is a very good example, is that I was hired in 4.5 years ago to transform Norden from being a little bit old-fashioned dry cargo company owner to become hopefully a more modern service provider and a trader. And it was quite a big, this is a personal experience, it was a big job. It was a big transformative job in changing mindsets. And then across these many offices, you feel a different behavior and a different ability to change mindsets. I think I can probably say that the Danish mindsets was maybe the ones that was most difficult to change, whereas Shanghai office was by far the easiest mindset to change. I laid out the plan. I tried to visualize where we're going, and it was like, okay. And then it was done. And I think that says a lot about the Chinese mindset, because China and the Chinese people have been through many, many changes, many years. They are very adaptive. And this is something I will actually not forget. And it's also about the next transformation in our industry, which is the digital transformation, which we are in the middle of, and the green transformation, which is in front of us. I also have huge belief in China as people, in China as a country, and a shipping nation to change. If Chinese and China wants to change, they change. And so that was all from my side, with some hands-on, let's say, experience from how it is to have a rep office in Shanghai. I'm not sure about the time, if I was too quick or too slow, but I guess you.
It's just perfect, Christian. We'll have time for some Q&A then.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think that's normally more interesting than speaking, is to listening and replying, actually. So
well, but let me say thank you, Christian, and let me say thank you very much for taking us through. It's quite a rich history that you have with China, and it's very, very, very interesting to hear your thoughts also on the sort of transformational capacity that you've seen here with your own eyes. And yes. And I think when it comes to the green transition, when it comes to further digitalization, there's no doubt that we need our Chinese partners to be on board in order for us to really make an impact on what is needed to adapt into these climate changes that we see all around the world.
Exactly.
So Christian, thank you very much, and I hope you stay on for the Q&A, because we are about to go into the Q&A. We're about to go into the Q&A session, And I think everything has been done in an orderly manner. So maybe now it's time for a little bit of chaos. But I want to say thanks to my colleague Chao Chun from the Trade Department and Lene from MARLOG, who have actually been in the background collecting some of these questions and distributed them to some of our presenters. So I just want to leave the scene again to answer some of the questions that have come in during the webinar. And actually, we have a question about data and statistics, and I want to invite in the Shanghai International Shipping Institute once more.
Yeah, I have received the question about how to collect the data about the port and the industry. Well, I could say that mainly they have the 4 ways. First, you can find the specific industry database, such as the collections, jewelry, and so on. They have some port date, global, and for the mainly focused on the mainly hub port. And secondly, we as a research institute, we publish the global port report every year and every season. And if you have, we also provide some port data to the industry, both in the Chinese version and in the English version. And third, if you want the data specifically focus on the China, you can find the website such as the Ministry of the Transport of China to find some useful data. And in the fourth, if you want to find the data for a specific port like the Shanghai, Guangzhou, and so on, these port companies mainly is the listed company, so they have the published annual report every year. So you can search for their annual report for the more detailed information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll just fast pace to the next question. And I think I would like to ask our presenters to read up the question as well, so it's easy for us to understand the connection to the answers. Because I think we do have time for elaborate answers, but in order for us to understand it, please read aloud the questions as well. So next, let's take it in orders here. So I want to invite in again Maggie Xu from the Shanghai North Bond.
Okay, so the question I've received is as follows. As some of the speakers have mentioned, there seem to be some preferential policies regarding the shipping industry in other parts of China, such as Lingang and Hainan. So what's so special about Hongkou in terms of the shipping industry? And here are my answers. I think there were different priorities for the shipping industry in Hongkou and in other parts of China. To be more specific, according to the blueprint of the northbound will mainly attract headquarters of multinational companies in sales and operation management, fund settlement, research and development, and supply chain management. Hongkou will welcome companies of foreign-owned companies as well as international organizations and industrial institutes. That is to say, Hongkou is striving to build a headquarter base for shipping service, featuring high-end shipping service industries, including shipping finance, shipping brokerage, maritime law and arbitration, and shipping information and consulting service. And on the other hand, other shipping hubs in China, like Lingang, focus on other aspects of the shipping industry, such as shipping management, shipping inspection, maritime education, and training. So in this sense, the shipping industry in Hongkou and elsewhere is complementary to each other. And another point I want to stress is that supports and incentives, including startup financial support, rental subsidies, performance rewards, project support, are all available to enterprises settled in Hongkou. What's more, the talent pool of Hongkou is ideal for foreign invested enterprises looking to start or expand their own business in China. So why not invest in Hongkou and get a share of its promising future? And that's all for my answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to look at my small screen here to collect the questions. So I think I'll try to see. We want to invite Monsieur Hai from Bank of China in again.
The question I received is, for the shipping industry, it is more convenient to choose a Chinese bank or a foreign bank, such as HSBC or Citibank. My answer is that foreign banks generally have an advantage in linking their operation with overseas parent companies, but that's not enough for your company in China. Chinese local banks have an advantage in providing comprehensive localized services, particularly in terms of branch distribution, which is very important for shipping companies who settle in US dollars, and personal services such as payroll and government-related corporate services such as tax payment. So a Chinese local bank account is a must. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I received a couple of questions. Actually, I think it's more for the legal or regulatory part. One of them on the pandemic and the influence, and the other one on the working conditions. And I think this is meant for Ms. Shirley Lee, partner at Insimco Shanghai.
Right. So I'll just first read the questions. The first questions I've got is as follows. There are many restrictions for business in China due to pandemic these days, including delays of ship operations. This makes business in China very complicated. Is there fast track for business or other measures taken by Chinese government, by local Chinese government? Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is targeting at the legal perspective, but I would just like to share some of my observations from my experience. I think if we're talking about restrictions on ship delays, delays such as international ships calling Chinese port, delays that might be caused because some of the crew might have been tested positive, for example, which is a very common issue these days, or maybe a ship was from a particular foreign port, whereby she might be asked to go into quarantine. I think these are more. Put it the way, it's not a China only problem. It's essentially a problem everywhere in the world these days in the shipping industry, and I think the international shipping community do need, and all the major shipping nations actually do need to work together to come up with a better solution. And I think, again, the big picture of this is that every country has a different approach in terms of containing the disease. And China, as we all know, the primary goal is to try to contain the disease as much as possible. So that there are, the reality is that there are restrictions, particularly on the movement of people and, for example, cargo across the board. But I would like to say, actually, if you are in China, And if you're talking about business, whether we are business as usual, and I think I'd say, and see, I'll assume all the other speakers in this room today would agree with me that we are pretty much business as usual in China. And in fact, because of the COVID, and because a lot of things these days cannot really be done physically, China has developed a pretty good platform and facility to try to move things online. So these days, if you want to set up a business or you need to apply for certain approvals and licenses, etc., it's very likely that you would be able to do all the procedures online to minimize physical visits. This actually has made a lot of things more efficient. So my ending conclusion for this question, I mean, I don't know if this answers the question, but I would say if we're in China for business, it's pretty much as usual. And in some respect, I would say actually it's probably becoming more efficient given the digitalize of many steps. The second question I got, again, I'll read the question first. Given the fact that many crew are working exceeding the contract period and crew change is difficult, while shipping lines cannot do much about government rules and policy, are there any initiatives to improve crew's working life condition at sea, such as increased food budget or offer psychological consultation, etc., to reduce crew stress? Again, I think pretty much same as the last question. This is a very common issue these days for international shipping community, and again, it's not a China only problem. In fact, from our observation, we as lawyers, I'd say maybe in the past 6 to 9 months, more than 50% of the inquiries we receive from our clients relate to issues, for example, crew disease, delays under the charter party, who bears the risk, things like that. And I think the international shipping community are all working very hard to try to resolve the problem. Speaking of what I can see or what I observe in China, I think the Chinese government, the authorities, are also making a great effort to try to facilitate and speed up some of the crew change, for example, and try to give as much flexibility as possible. Because it is true that for many ships, crew serving on board have actually exceeded their service period. So it is quite acute to facilitate crew change and also to provide vaccination to crew. I think, as far as I can see, in China and many authorities in the Chinese port are making a great effort to try to speed up this process. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think that was about it. If there's any of the questions that we missed, then we will get back to the ones who posed the question with a more elaborate answer. I actually also want to ask our Danish presenters with a few questions. So Christian, if you are still with us, then I think one of the things that you said in your presentation about being close to the client, basically we have a lot of Danish companies online and they're looking at business opportunities now for being here in China. What are your best advice? We want to pick your brains, and we promise not to tell anyone else, just us.
No, that's okay. Sharing is caring. No, it's of course the cultural part. Each company has their own own culture, and it took a couple of years, I think, before we had, let's say, Northern culture instilled in the local. But my advice is definitely to go to local management as soon as you can. We are, I think, in Denmark, we are a small nation and we try to understand other cultures, but in reality, it's difficult for us to deeply understand other cultures. Yeah, I would just say local management as much as possible, and
Okay.
trust that and then make an effort in finding some of the very, very qualified Chinese people that comes out of the universities. So yeah, that's
very good. Thanks,
Yeah.
Christian. And let me comment on that part, because part of what we are here to do is, of course, also to utilize the different support mechanisms and the different business promotion mechanism and instruments that we have in Denmark. And just recently, a new program came out that supports Danish SMEs looking into different countries that can support on-site costs. And I think there's a reference there to the experience that you've had to hire local people to run your business here in China, and that's actually an opportunity with some quite substantial support, financial support from Danish government. So I think I have a question here also for you, Jan, if you're up for that. There's a question here. If MARLOG has interest regarding set up a functional center in Hongkou for joint and mutual promotion, shipping, commercial activities, do you see anywhere in the future that MARLOG would also expand to have branches or entities in abroad?
Actually, we have never thought of that, I must say, but it's a very exciting and interesting idea. We are a new organization. We were a merger. I didn't go into that. We were a merger from existing cluster organizations all over Denmark, and we're established January 1st. So we're still popping up a lot of offices in Denmark, but what we are going to work on in the near future is an internationalization strategy on which countries do we want to collaborate with, and what are the specific innovation topics that we would like to work on. And I could imagine that China, due to the very strong position as a shipping nation and a shipbuilding nation, would make a very good candidate for such an office. So absolutely, it could be a very interesting thought.
Great, thanks, Jan. Something to consider and something to explore more, for sure. I think we have to end our Q&A session, and I want to do the closing remarks, and I also want to give you a little gift, and that's a small video on the Hongkou district. So let me say that Shanghai northbound sits here in the Hongkou district. Is an important pillar of the city's international shipping business. Will definitely accelerate development, high-end shipping services such as shipping finance that we heard about today, shipping trades, maritime law, and information consulting. It will also strive to build a shipping service innovation demonstration area by attracting shipping enterprises, international organizations, and institutions. Supported by favorable policies imposed by Chinese government, Shanghai is the hub, as we heard, of China's maritime industry. It acts as a trade facilitator to the enormous hinterlands of inland China. It has experienced the rapid expansion of maritime activities and is one of the fastest growing ports in the world. In short, Shanghai is becoming a maritime center in an international context. And if you like to catch up with the numerous opportunities, please do not hesitate to contact us at Innovation Center Denmark, in MARLOG, our Trade Council colleagues, and please accept to share your email address so we can contact you with the opportunities following this webinar. I hope you all enjoyed the webinar today. Thank you very much. And here's the video.
Welcome to Shanghai, the top choice for global investment. A century ago, the booming Bund secured Shanghai's place as the financial center of the Far East. For the last 30 years, the Lujiazui finance and trade zone has risen to prominence, setting a new standard for China. Now, Shanghai's development is getting set to usher in a new era, and this time, the world's eyes will be drawn to the North Bund, a world-class investment destination. Welcome to the North Bund. Shanghai's most sought-after investment zones line the Hongkou River. The North Bund forms the top of Shanghai's Golden Triangle, with Lujiazui and the Bund. The area has long been a hub for the global shipping industry and has welcomed an influx of financial and technology companies. It's the choice for global and regional headquarters because of its central strategic location. Now, the North Bund is further evolving to provide thriving investment opportunities. The 4 square kilometre North Bund is the largest redevelopment zone in the core area of downtown Shanghai. The area is divided into 3 zones. About 8.4 million square metres of new construction space have been planned, and it is regarded as central Shanghai's biggest and most iconic project since the development of Lujiazui. Throughout 2020 and 2021, more than 10 plots of land will be opened up for commercial development, surrounding the 60,000 square metres of central parkland at the heart of the North Bund. The entire area will feature more than 200 high-end office buildings, providing global enterprises with fine office space. Premium spaces dedicated to conventions and events, and a grand theatre with a seating capacity of over 2,000. The heart of the North Bund will be filled with high-density office buildings and commercial facilities. As part of the grand design, a 480-metre skyscraper will become the tallest building on the west bank of the Hongkou River, with another 2 landmark buildings rising as tall as 380 and 320 metres. It will mirror Lujiazui and reinvent the city's skyline. The North Bund will be flanked by regions around the Tilanqiao area and the Hongkou port, where historical and culturally important sites will be fully preserved. And it is easily accessible from anywhere in Shanghai. The North Bund will be built into a high-grade commercial district and culturally diverse neighbourhoods. The redevelopment of the North Bund will create a new miracle. The North Bund was home to the city's original harbours once Shanghai opened to international trade in 1843, and its Jewish settlement once offered wartime sanctuary to some 20,000 Jewish refugees. Today, the North Bund is more connected to the world than ever before. On the 2.5-kilometre stretch of riverfront, the whole shipping industry is represented. These businesses will be the economic engine of the North Bund and the core of Shanghai's international shipping centre. In 2020, Shanghai ranked as the world's 3rd largest global financial centre. Financial businesses in the North Bund are positioned to take full advantage of the new opportunities. Nearly 1,800 Chinese and foreign financial companies, including 1/8 of China's mutual funds, are gathered here, with approximately $900 billion in assets under management. The North Bund wants to bring in more leading global financial institutions, especially asset management companies and mutual fund companies. Growth in asset management, equity investment, venture capital, hedge funds, securities trading and fintech will make the area a centre for financial services. As the world's first district with full 5G coverage and super-fast broadband, the North Bund has topped the city with the development of information industry. It will continue to promote the development of a vibrant tech sector to incubate and support cutting-edge research. The latest technology is adding value to investment and unlocking the industry's full potential. The North Bund is an empowering place, surrounded by new green spaces along the Hongkou riverfront. Extensive parkland areas will bring in fresh air, and every building will conform to green and sustainable standards. Beneath the large central park, commuter services and parking will be moved underground to keep the riverfront business area open and free of traffic. The design preserves the original character of the district and makes the North Bund a diverse, green, energetic and safe place, attractive to top international talent. With easy access to technology, a skilled labour force, funding and amenities, a growing number of multinational companies have chosen the area for their headquarters, investing in the North Bund's future. Premium office space and the support of world-class digital platforms guarantee the North Bund will become a magnet for multinational company headquarters and global investment. Shanghai's new centrally located hub, an exciting place to invest and an amazing place to live. Shanghai's North Bund, working with you to create the future.
Well, here's Lena again. I just want to say a quick thank you once again for everyone who has joined, to our dear guests and also to all of you attendees. We will send out an email after the webinar where you will also receive a link to today's webinar so you can rewatch the video. And as Martin mentioned before already, the Innovation Center is offering some consultancy services, and for this purpose, we will be sharing your email with ICDK. So we hope this will be all right with you. If in case you have any questions regarding this, you can just simply answer our email that we will be sending out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this webinar as much as I did, and hope you all have a good day. And thank you once again to everyone who was attending. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.